Hey guys, it's Mike, another King Arthur Legends Rise video. Today we're actually getting the update, so we should get some information coming out shortly. I did actually stumble across a dev video on YouTube that was brought up in a couple different comments, as well as some other videos I was watching that I think we'll take a look at today and see what's going on. Pretty excited for the update. In this video, I think at least shows us that things are being worked on, and these guys are pretty enthusiastic, fairly comical. But at least we got two people working on the game trying to make it better, so that's a good start. So as always, I will pin the link to the entire video in the comments below, so if you want to check it out. I think it's only like a 5-minute video, so it has some information in there, but we're pretty much going to talk about all the things that I think have any merit to them, so we'll discuss through it and see what we think.
Hello, King Arthur Legends Rise fans.
We're Joseph.
Nathan from the dev team.
I know there's been a lot of interest in the recent update to King Arthur. To reward your excitement, we are here today with some of what's coming soon. First up, let's look at something we might have spoiled the pre-release content survey. We've been working hard to develop new game modes and features based on your feedback. And the first thing we'll discuss today is the Hall of Conquerors. The Hall of Conquerors, which is coming in the next update, is a mode where we'll try to beat your own records. There's no entry limit on the dungeons, so you can play it whenever and as much as you like. There will be 3 different and unique bosses appearing.
So we'll jump in right here. So they said this was, I believe, the one that we voted on as far as the roadmap ahead that came out several weeks back. So that we're going to have this content on the next drop. Later on, they actually refer to dropping it in April. So the expectation is it will be part of Tuesday evening's update. So this content looks like it's going to be pretty fun. We got 3 new bosses coming into the game. Hopefully it's kind of more on the in-game side of things, but definitely will be hopefully engaging for everybody.
So you can set your deck for each of those 3 bosses and then see exactly how much damage you dealt to each boss. You will be able to earn up to 150 tiered rewards based on how much damage you inflict each boss.
150 rewards. That sounds quite a lot.
So that's kind of funny. I mean, the quantity of the rewards don't really matter as much as the quality. And I think that, I mean, for the in-game players, that putting those carrots out there that they're actually interested in engaging with the content. I mean, they have a lot of shiny toys on their account, so this will be giving them something to do, which I think will be fun in and of itself, and just making sure that whatever the rewards they're getting. The tough thing in the game right now is if you try to think of the best rewards available, there's really not a lot that speak to in-game players. They probably have a bunch of raid-up summons on their account already. They probably have every relic in the game. They definitely have every character in the game. Probably most of their chivalries. So it's kind of one of those things where I think they might need to be kind of creative here in what those rewards look like to really start speaking to some of these in-game players.
Make sure that the rewards would be satisfying too. Of course, it takes a good strategy to earn all 150 rewards. And you will also be competing against other players to deal the most damage to the bosses, and you can get good rewards too.
I see. So that's why deck building is so important.
That's right. So I think that by experimenting and trying to different combinations, players can really show off their strength.
So players only need 12 heroes total?
No. We're planning to continuously update the Hall of Conquerors so that players can enjoy different bosses with fun mechanics and continuously develop and show off new strategies. The Hall of Conquerors is planned to be released in the next update, so we're working hard on it, so I hope you can enjoy.
So again, they refer to it as the next update, so I do think this is launching later today from when this video goes live, so that will be pretty cool to have new content in the game. Pretty exciting in that space. I think they alluded to all the comments about the lack of champions in the game with so you need 12 champions to beat this thing, and they said no, they're going to be constantly cycling out different bosses and so forth. So I think it's kind of a foreshadowing on the expectation of bringing more champions into the game. I think the struggle there is not necessarily bringing champions into the game, it's bringing them in rapidly. Like at the end of the day, we talked about it in several other videos where if you launch one champion every 2 weeks, every account that's maxed out is going to continue to be maxed out if they're still playing the game. You need to start putting things in the game that people are working for months at a time. And that way you can stack up some of these goals long term. So you need several champions to come into the game where you can't just instantly max everything out right away. And I think that's a little bit of the downfall there. But hopefully we're going to see some bunches of champions kind of launching, but it doesn't sound like that's the case for this time around.
We are also working hard to prepare other new contents to show to you, but I will give you a short preview. Nathan, could you brief us?
Okay, I'll take it from here. As mentioned, we're planning to release the Hall of Conquerors in April. And we're also planning some new challenges for all of.
So it's kind of interesting. I was pretty sure the Shadow Dungeon was the one that won when we were voting. The Hall of Conquest and the Shadow Dungeon were the two I was most excited about. So I think either of these is going to be great content, but they are moving this, and he said by the end of April, which we're running out of days, like today and tomorrow, and that's it. So I'm assuming it will be coming out, and it has the bosses in the rotation that they're talking about. So it's kind of interesting that was the one they went. I'm curious if it was closer to being completed, and they knew they had to get it out quickly. So maybe they went that route, and we'll see the Shadow Dungeon come out a little later. But I was pretty sure that the Shadow Dungeon actually won when we voted on it.
View, including a PvP mode with different rules than the current arena. A PvE mode that will directly utilize your hero's elements, and a co-op dungeon where you can play with your friends together. In the new arena mode, the advantageous heroes and buffs will change depending on the challenge. And we are planning different challenges to satisfy our players and give them exciting experiences in the arena.
So the current arena mode isn't going anywhere, is it?
Right. You will still be able to play the existing arena, and this is a brand new content that we're talking about.
So I think this is ultimately pretty good depending on what the content is. I know a lot of in-game players that's how they engage and compete is in arena. From what I understand on the current situation in arena, it's kind of dull and pretty stagnant. I don't think a lot of people are really engaging with it. So depending on what they're doing here to make this better, hopefully it speaks to those in-game players. We talk a lot about in-game players, and at the end of the day, it really comes down to an ecosystem. In a game, you need to have a wide variety of players playing, and probably the masses are probably going to be free to play or very low spending. And the game needs to function and be super enjoyable at that level to keep bringing in new free-to-play players or low spenders. But at the end of the day, those free-to-play players aren't driving revenue. So what you need things in the game that the whales and the krakens and even the dolphins and the minnows can go after that give them a benefit to spending money on the game, lets them expedite progress a little bit. Maybe they get unique avatars or unique skins or unique cosmetics in the game just to kind of for bragging rights. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can monetize aspects of the game without necessarily making it competitive. But at the end of the day, you need a huge player base for things like that to matter. And I think that right now the problem is that the player base is kind of dwindling, and we need to get more and more players playing the game to make that ecosystem very healthy. And then the whales will have somewhere to go to show off their toys. Like at the end of the day, it's kind of a bragging rights kind of thing where it's like, hey, I have this guy chivalry level 10 already. Here you go. And you're in arena fighting it. But if there's no one in arena fighting, then it doesn't really make sense to show off your brand new toy. So that's kind of the struggle in that space.
We're also preparing an element dungeon where heroes of the 3 elements, flame, frost, and storm, will only appear as enemies.
Since it's about the elements, so you need different relics to challenge it.
That's right. Currently, the battle focuses more on skills and deck combination than on the elements. So we're planning for this mode to challenge players to use elements more strategically. So your hero's elemental effect might be multiplied depending on the opponent's element, so it will be exciting and fresh. And we also think this will be a new twist to enjoy the game.
And I think stuff like this is actually going to be really beneficial because it is going to encourage players to pick up relics they don't have, even if they don't think they need them. So for example, if you're sitting on Gawain and he's got, I think his Flame Relic is one of his best, and he starts with the Storm Relic, maybe having a Frost Gawain all of a sudden makes sense based on what's going on in his content. So it gives you something to kind of focus on and extend your deck out, as they say, your deck, as far as getting your players where they have all the affinity options available to them so that they can go into this content and do some pretty good work. But this is the kind of stuff where you start saying, I need to maximize my account. And then those are those longer term goals that are going to keep people playing as they get going, assuming the content and the rewards is challenging and fun and worthwhile.
And last but not least, the Shadow Dungeon is a mode where you can play against an enemy team mirrored from your own deck. And since the deck is exactly the same, our plan is for strategy to hinge around using skill effectively. And this is ambitious and challenge for us. And we're also intensely discussing if we could coordinate this with co-op play or to different co-op content.
So it's a new clan activity content.
Yes, it is. It's still in development, so we're testing internally whether it should be individual battles or clan co-ops. However, it hasn't been fixed yet, but we'll make sure it is fun for everyone.
Mirroring battles off of your own account sounds kind of interesting. I'm not sure entirely, it obviously comes down to how they do it and what it is. I mean, it sounds like it could be fun. I think it would be more fun to be able to pick people out of your clan and battle them and directly, kind of go at each other and see who has the best lineup or the best gearing or whatever. But that's kind of an interesting idea. I'd be curious on the co-op stuff. I was watching Dialar Tactics roundtable video on Mondays. Great information in there. Always does a great job there. But he was talking about in some co-op things he's done in the past, you'll be waiting for minutes to maybe even up to an hour waiting for the people that need to join for you to play an event. And I think if that's how this co-op situation adds up, especially with kind of the limited player base, it would be really unfortunate and it probably won't get a lot of use because most people aren't going to sit there and wait an hour to play any content in the game. Probably going to move on with their day and do other things. But the idea behind co-op dungeons or whatever the case is actually has a lot of potential. Could be really fun. I could team up with my nephew or my brother or all three of us potentially, jump into a dungeon and go battle together. We can kind of work that out between us to schedule a time. That could be a really cool aspect of playing the game that's not in there yet. But we'll have to wait and see how it comes out, how they do it, and if it's worthwhile.
All right, so we've gone over a broad roadmap of what we able to share.
By the way, in addition to all of this, we're also working on a quality of life improvements and a monthly update.
Yeah, right. We're preparing events, new heroes, and other fun things to enjoy. And we're also working on a story update that we know you are looking forward to. So please stay tuned.
We'll be sure to share updates about this and other areas in the future dev notes going forward.
So that's what's going on in King Arthur. Thank you for enjoying our game. We'll have even more exciting updates in the future. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So there you go. They're talking about an upgraded story mode, more champions, and a lot of things coming to the game. I think communications like this are incredible. I think they should do them more frequently. I think that it helps the community know there are people that are working on the game. It's fun to put a face to the company. And it's fun to say, that we met Nathan and Joseph and they're out there working on the game with us. And it's pretty fun. I would have liked to see a little more emphasis on bringing more champions into the game. I'd be curious to see if there's epics or mythical champion categories that are coming into the game. I'd be curious to find out if there's more rares and uncommons coming into the game, if they're looking to do additional factions, because I think at the end of the day, there's just not enough players in the game. If you look at what they've talked about through the lens of an in-game player, and I can just beat this with, it's a dead horse. I get it. But the problem is if people aren't spending money on the game is not going to grow because it has no revenue to grow. There's no advertising. There's no way to pay Nathan and Joseph's salary over here. So we need to have content that in-game players are playing, engaging with, and spending money to achieve. If you don't put new players in the game and you add content, they already have all the players maxed out in the game. They're not going to spend money on anything in the game because they have everything already. So you need to start putting stuff out there they don't have. And then content as well that they can't beat with the current their current roster of heroes. That's going to be how you keep in-game players engaged, and that's going to happen how you keep them spending money. At the end of the day, putting new dungeons and new bosses is great, but if you're launching one hero every 2 weeks, you're going to be in the same spot. The finish line is not moving away fast enough. Ideally, you want the finish line moving away at the pace that you can gain on it. And then as you're an in-game player and you want to spend money, you can kind of gain a little faster on that finish line as it runs away from you. But the flip side of this, like in Raid Shadow Legends, that finish line is moving away 10 times faster than you can gain on it, especially as a free-to-play player. And there's no hope of ever achieving it, which is a different problem in and of itself. And I think a lot of players say they don't want that, and it feels bad, and it feels like you're being taken advantage of. But this is the other side of that, and I think players are telling you they don't like this either. They don't like getting to the finish line and being like, okay, what do I do now? Like, that's not a winning strategy long term. But at the end of the day, we got some communication out from the devs, so that's super exciting. Hopefully later today, we got some new content coming into the game, which is super exciting. And hopefully also a new champion coming into the game, which would also be super exciting. So we're wrapping up the Nika and Saris event. I've gone through back and forth. This is the only legendary champion on the account I don't have. But I do feel like I'm going to hold on to these rate up summons, and as these special summons come rolling through, eventually I will get her, because the summoning pool is just not that big, and you do stack these special summons up pretty regularly. So eventually I'll get my Saris, and I'll get her start moving forward and so forth. But we are stacking up those rate up summons for the next banner. I did film this a little bit in advance. That's why it's showing this much time. It'll probably be closer to 2 hours by the time this video goes live. So that's what we got going on with the dev notes and the communication, which is pretty exciting. I'm glad to see that they're actually reaching out and they're sharing what they're working on, and it shows that there's a team, at least of two, Joseph and Nathan, that are working on the game for us. So we'll just have to sit tight and see what happens when the update comes in. Unfortunately, I'm going to be traveling again. I'll be gone the rest of the week. I'm out on work, just doing business stuff, so unfortunately I won't be able to post videos. I have a video of my brother. I took over his account and kind of did some things on there for him, so I'll probably launch that while I'm gone, but it won't be relevant to the new update because I won't be able to record anything until I get back, which I probably won't be back till like Saturday or even Sunday. So next week will be as early as I can get to it, so I apologize for the delay in that, but we'll keep our fingers crossed that this update comes in and is definitely worthwhile. If we jump into the account and see where we're wrapping up things here on the crystal consumption event, I didn't put a lot of energy into this. I used a lot of crystals buying those extra gear packs with the 1500 for the legendary. If those come back, I'd love to have some crystals stacked up. So I'm not really jumping into this right now. The rewards don't really start getting juicy for me until 3000, and I'm not going to make it with what I currently have, so I'm not really too concerned. Moving over to the equipment enhancement perks, I haven't really spent a lot of time here. I mean, 3 to 5 star gear. 5 star gear is going to be adequate, but not really doing a lot for me. And then getting, I think it's 5 summons. And the rate up summons really not worth the gold spent on upgrading gear right now. I was trying to focus on other things. So I was just kind of getting that done. Nika's event, I did get that wrapped up, so we're completely done with that. Just barely got to 7,500 and called that quits. In the Forest event, got that one knocked out, and then the Mastery Memory Stone, we definitely got that knocked out as well, and got all those juicy rewards on the account also. So I pretty much just been stacking up resources, trying to stack up a little gold. In fact, probably go in here and throw Gorgos on, get some gold going, see how my dailies are done. Going through, doing all my daily alchemies and all the things, just trying to keep stuff on the account looking good. So hopefully you find that encouraging. You feel like that's good information. You feel like, hey, the game is being worked on. It's making you feel a little better about what's going on. I do think that they need to increase the pace at which they're bringing stuff to the game, and I think they need to increase the amount of marketing they're doing to bring new players to the game. Those two things, I think, would be a winning formula to really put some longevity behind King Arthur. But let me know in the comments below what you think. How'd you feel about the video? How do you feel about the state of the game? What are you doing in your account right now? And what are you hoping that that comes out in this update? But I appreciate you hanging out with me all the way to the end. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do so. It means the world to me. We're still looking to put together our clan at MikeGoG. So check us out if you're a player that logs in every day. We'd love to have you on the account. And outside of that, I look forward to seeing you next time.